On today's episode of the Wild Party Podcast, I'm joined by Sari Megan Kern, the pink-haired pancake queen and founder of Zen Stax. What started as a curious idea at 1 a.m. turned into a full-blown breakfast revolution. Zen Stax is a ready-to-pour pancake batter made with clean, vegan, plant-based ingredients and infused with Hawaiian values. In this conversation, Sari shares how she went from being a registered nurse and data consultant to launching her business from her home kitchen, scaling it to meet demand, and landing her product in all Bristol Farms stores in Southern California. We talk about pancakes, packaging, parenting, and the power of purpose-driven business. Get ready to be inspired and maybe a little hungry. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the Wild Party Podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. I am super excited and already hungry today, which was probably bad planning on my part because I am joined by Sari Megan Kern, who is the founder of Zen Stax. She created an innovative, ready-to-pour pancake batter that is redefining breakfast with clean ingredients, island vibes, and a whole lot of love. I mean, pancakes are just love in itself. But not only that, Sari really went above and beyond to make sure Zen Stax was really rooted in sustainability, health, and honoring Hawaiian values, which I can't wait to hear more about. So let's just jump in there now. Sari, I'm already hungry. Please, how are we going to get through the next 45 minutes talking about pancakes?
Oh no, I probably should have sent you some so you could, fill up your tummy before we started. I didn't even think about it.
I could just sit here during our whole conversation because normally, I'm very interested in talking to a guest. But here's the thing. I am a pancake lover through and through. So when you reached out to me and you're like, I have a business, by the way, it's pancakes. I'm like, yes, please.
I love it. I love that you're a pancake lover. That's great.
Absolutely. And then, of course, when I started doing my research and figuring out who you were and where you came from, I was like, good Lord, this woman has chops because these are going to be the most delicious and nutritious pancakes I've ever eaten in my life. So with that said, let's get right into the story because you are actually a registered nurse, correct?
I am. I'm a registered nurse, still licensed. I call myself a recovering nurse sometimes, but I still keep my license just in case.
I understand that because I actually have a niece who just got into the nursing industry. So she is at her first full-time hospital job. And let me tell you, that is not to be taken lightly. Talk about needing to get a purple honor, a purple, what's it called? The Purple Heart for that line of service. I understand why you call yourself a recovering because
Yeah.
whew, little
Hats off to
underappreciated. But we're
her.
not going to talk about that. We are going to talk about this phase of your life now. Please take me back. What about the morning started that you just woke up one day and said, I'm going to launch my own pancake brand?
It was so random. I think the first variable that's very interesting is that I was 20 weeks pregnant with my third boy, and I was working as a consultant in data analytics as a chief fractional chief data officer. I had a company, Alpha Data Strategies. And I had been making these pancakes for my kids that had superfoods in them and made with real fruits and always just kind of changing it up and making really innovative flavors like Meyer lemon coconut and blueberry lavender and banana chocolate chip. And we were sitting down, we were having pancakes for dinner that night. And someone I knew was at dinner with us, and they said, why don't you start a company? And I said, I pushed back the same way I always do, which is, look, the market is totally infiltrated with pancake mixes. I don't want to make another pancake mix and then have to differentiate myself. I don't want to start a restaurant. I know that they're not profitable and I will never be home and I will work my butt off and I won't make anything. Like it may or may not work out. So I went to bed that night and at 1 in the morning, this idea popped into my head, which was as a busy mom, the worst part about pancakes is doing all of the mixing and the measuring. And believe me, even though I'm the pink-haired pancake queen, if I have to make them from scratch without one of my recipes, it either gets too watery or it gets too thick or the flavor's not all there. And so I really struggled with that. And it ended up making a ton of dishes, taking up a ton of my time, which is very valuable. I'd rather spend it sitting with my kids enjoying the meal. And I was like, oh my gosh, if it was a wet batter and we started in glass jars, it was a wet batter and we could just scoop it out of the mason jar and put it on the pan and cook it. Like that's so many fewer dishes. It's way less work. You don't have to worry about gathering the ingredients and oh, I don't have this, but also the added superfoods and nutrition, like actually making pancakes not just carbs and sugar, but adding nutrition, flax and chia for added fiber, protein, and omegas, real fruits, no artificial flavors, no natural flavors, no seed oils. That was really what I was passionate about, was giving my kids a healthy breakfast that they would want to eat.
Well, I admire that you took that leap forward because I too had a friend who ate my waffles one day that I had made a mix from. I don't know, I got some recipe online. And I am also a vegan, and she loved them so much. She didn't even know I put coconut milk in them. Okay, at that point, she's like, "Oh my God, these are so good. You should make these and sell these." And all of a sudden, she has me launching a restaurant. I'm like, "Girl, I don't want to do that." I mean, I know nothing about the restaurant industry, nor do I want to. And fortunately for me, I guess I did not wake up in the middle of the night with an idea like you did. But I understand where you're coming from. Like sometimes we create something and then people in our lives are saying, this is so good you could sell it. And that sounds all very well and good until you start trying to figure out how do I actually make this a product and a business that I could sell to the market, because that's a way different leap. And like you said, it is about, well, what am I putting into this actual product that differentiates it, that people would care because pancake mix is pancake mix in a lot of people's eyes. Um, but again, sometimes we eat pancakes and we still feel hungry afterwards because essentially just flour and water and sugar. Where's my sustenance coming from, right? But you solved all that for us, which I love. So take me on this journey then. So you get the light bulb idea. I'm going to try and actually create this as a mix that is already made and can be easily accessible to anyone. How did you first start that process then of creating this mix that would be able to be, sold in a market?
Yeah, but after 1 in the morning, I wake up, I couldn't sleep. So I went downstairs with my pregnant belly. I go downstairs, I go to work on my computer, and I start researching, are there any competitors out there? How much are the ingredients going to cost? How much am I going to have to sell this for in order to make a profit? Where could I get mason jars? What size should I use? How much would it feed a family? So I did all this research. My husband comes down at 6 in the morning and I'm pretty like comfortable with risk. He is not. He is risk averse, but bless him. He comes down and he goes, where have you been all night? And I said, babe, I started a new company. We're going to do pancakes. And he's like, what, what are you talking about? And I kind of gave him the spiel and he's like, okay, well, you can try it out for a little bit. And so I launched a website and had a name 2 days later, set up a Shopify site and had my first sale. My aunt was my first sale, but I had like friends and family because this was black market pancake batter. Okay. Now I have a commercial kitchen. It's all legit, but this was like in my kitchen, no licenses, no nothing. And I'm like mixing it up and buying the jars and pouring it in there. I had so many dishes. The kitchen was taken over. My husband was so frustrated. He's so sweet to let me do this. And then I would walk around the neighborhood and ask people if they would try my pancake batter. So I had like little jars and big jars, but I'd bring a little jar and I'd say, hey, I've got these flavors. Would you try my pancake batter and give me feedback? And I actually, one of those first people ended up being a customer 2 years later at a farmer's market. She came up and said, "Oh my gosh, I was one of your first customers. I had the blueberry lavender. It was fantastic." And so I also had the website and I posted on my Facebook and my Instagram to all my friends and I was doing a lot of networking at the time, so I had a lot of support that way from people I was networking with on the data side. And all of a sudden I had orders, too many orders to fulfill. So I was connected to a co-packer, called them up, and booked a reservation for 2 months later when I was going to fulfill all these orders. So I gathered all these orders, and then it was one big day at a co-packer. And I think it ended up being like 250 orders. It was insane for just starting and just doing it in your own little kitchen. So we spent the day in the kitchen, and then I realized this was something that I really wanted to run with.
Wow, that is such a crazy story. So you wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this pancake business. 2 days later, you have a website. A couple days later, you have so many orders. And next thing you know, you are like trying to figure out, well, how am I going to fulfill 250 orders and make it even bigger? That is crazy. You are a special kind of crazy that I personally love because I am just like you. I had an idea many years ago to start a nonprofit, and I was very excited about it. And I told my significant other at the time, who was very supportive, like your husband was. And he said, yes, we can do this. And next thing you know, I was running a nonprofit for 10 years. So I'm just saying sometimes these middle of the night ideas can seem great and it can become like a life journey. But clearly yours has worked out because you created this um, very popular company that people are just excited about. Like they find out about Zen Stax like I did, and they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is exactly what I need. Because you're right, it's like all of that mixing and then figuring it out. Because here's the thing, baking is chemistry. I was not good in chemistry in school. I don't like measuring. I don't really like paying attention, honestly. I'm more of throw everything in the pot kind of girl. So for products like this, it's not just like easy for, people with children. It's just like if you just have any kind of lifestyle where you're like, I want to eat healthy, but I don't want to have to feel like everything is a science project, it's great that you figured that out for us.
Yeah, and that's something that I'm really passionate about. I mean, I've been vegan like you. I think I'm coming up on my 20-year vegan anniversary. And I care about health. I care about nutrition. I care about fitness, to the point of a minor obsession. But it has always been, okay, I want a smoothie. I have to go get 20 different ingredients and put them in, and it's a lot of work. And then with kids, it's just not sustainable when you're working either. And you just want something that's going to nourish you and you can go on your way, but also enjoyable. Like just eating a bunch of, raw greens may not really be the most yummy thing for breakfast. We want something, some variety as
Well,
well.
and I imagine that would be a hard sell to your children because you have three boys, correct?
I have three boys. Believe me, I tried.
Yeah, you're like, here, just eat this bowl of salad. They'll be like, absolutely not. It's like, what else is there? But here you are, you start a pancake line, and they must be, okay, are they tired at all about like from pancakes at this point?
So we have pancakes still. So, okay. The short answer is no, they're not tired of pancakes, but we did get on the waffle train. So sometimes now they want pancakes, sometimes they want waffles. And now that they know that there's some versatility and mommy's willing to work with them, Jackson, the little one, wants mini pancakes. Kai, the older one, wants a big old pancake, and Bodhi wants waffles. So, and they like different flavors. Kai and Bodhi like banana chocolate chip, and Jackson likes gluten-free double chocolate, but they're all like totally about the chocolate.
So
So
wait, so is your pancake batter also usable in a waffle maker?
waffle makers, it makes muffins. My mom makes these fancy little tea cakes, and they're delicious.
As if I wasn't hungry enough, I do have a amazing Belgian waffle maker that I'm now like, I am pulling that sucker out because I need to try this in the waffle version. Okay, okay. We need to stop talking so much about the yumminess side. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty business side. So you had mentioned a few steps back about a co-packing place. What is that?
A co-packer is a place where you supply the ingredients and the recipe, and they will create the product. They will put it in the packaging. This one in particular also would get stuff right. If you're into distribution, they will get stuff ready for the distribution company to come pick it up on pallets. So they will do everything from beginning to end. This worked out really well in the beginning because I was pregnant. So I knew I was going to be taking time off. So even though I was going in the beginning and kind of being an extra set of hands so we could get more production and making it more profitable, when it was time for me to have baby, I spent a good 2 months kind of out of the kitchen, and they were already well versed in my recipes and they could make everything I needed. I'd pick up what I needed to deliver, and that was it. So that was super easy. So it's a really great way to start. It's also a really great way to scale. I'm not in a co-packer currently,
Mhm.
but the employees that worked for the co-packer, there are two who come on their days off because they're just amazing, Alejandro and Gloria, and they come to the kitchen that I'm renting space at, and they make my product with me. Most days I'm not there making product. It's usually just them.
Yeah, and so your background then in data analysis, so I'm sure it really helped you then because, like you said, you were entering a pretty crowded space. How did you then start figuring out? Because you said you looked online to see, what's the competition like out there? How do I differentiate myself? So what did that look like for you? Because your product is plant-based, you have a vegan lifestyle, as do I. So how does all that come into play with creating this product that you think is really going to do well and people are going to be receptive to? Because right now we are in the space where everything is aka plant-based, and I feel like that's getting really overused where people don't understand if it's healthy or not. So how are you navigating those waters?
I really love this question, and I hope that my answer helps other entrepreneurs because that's been a big journey for me. I started out screaming from the rooftops that it's vegan, it's plant-based, we don't harm any animals, we use coconut milk instead of, regular milk. And I found it very polarizing. A lot of people, I was very proud of it. Vegans are very happy to support, but that market is not my target audience per se. My goal in this business, if I could accomplish nothing else, if I could drive this business forward that shows people that just because something is vegan doesn't mean it's not food that you want to eat, that pancakes are not necessarily going to taste better if you add cow's milk and butter and eggs. There's nothing you could add to my pancake batter to make it taste better. I mean, maybe a ton of sugar, but that's just not my jam. You can always add stuff on top. You can't take it away. So I actually, when I had started in the farmers markets, which was after my little one was maybe 2 or 3 months old, I had vegan, and people would walk by and say, "Oh, I don't eat vegan food." They wouldn't even try the pancakes. And after much consideration and much thought, I think it was 3 or 4 months, I was like, I'm just going to do a little experiment. And I removed vegan and I put plant-based. And all of a sudden, my sales doubled.
Mm.
And the vegans would still stop by and say, "Do you have any vegan options?" Because that's what I would do. I go everywhere that something looks good. I'll say, "Do you have any vegan options?" And the answer would always be yes. Actually, the whole company is vegan. We just don't advertise it that way. We want to mainstream this thing. And now we're going through I don't know, it's like our sixth iteration of packaging. We're in Bristol Farms, which is a little market here in LA now, Southern California. And I am actually removing all the vegan plant-based from the front and leaning more into clean ingredients and with superfoods because I feel like that's what families want for their kids. They may not be on that vegan journey, but we can help the environment as a company by being a vegan company. And the more sales we can get, the more customers we can get, the more we can help people understand that there's other options out there.
I completely agree. So I've been vegan now for about 9 years, and my mother still says to me, She says, first of all, she says the word vegan almost as if it is a Russian word she's never pronounced in her life before. It's very hard for her to get it out of her mouth. And then she still keeps saying she doesn't understand what it is. And I'm like, Mom, it's just no animal products. Like, how do you not get that? But I think you're exactly right. People understand conceptually the words plant-based. They don't understand what veganism is. And on top of that, because you're right, it's very polarizing. People have a certain, when they do hear the word vegan, they think it means one thing, which is usually wrong. So I could really see how that would be more of like a turnoff for people, especially if they don't understand it or they don't want to be in line with it because their misconception is like, ugh, people who are, because I've had people say this to me before, people who are vegan are so tedious. All they're going to do is preach to you about this and that, and they're going to try and convert you. And then I turn around and say, no, that's not true. And in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, motherfucker, I am going to convert you. You just don't know how yet. Ooh, I just dropped an F-bomb. I'm going to have to edit that out. But oh yeah, I'm totally going to convert you, but you're not going to see it coming. I'm going to send you Zen Stax. No, I'm totally editing that whole part out. I swear to God. Okay. But with that said, so then, like, yes, the marketing part of it, you have to approach people to where they're actually going to understand it more. And if that's the vernacular that people now are understanding, superfoods, plant-based, healthy options, that makes total sense, moving forward in the market, especially because you're in Bristol Farms, and you literally have seconds to capture someone's eye as they're walking down a grocery store aisle. So, I totally agree with all of that. So, you learned that along the way, but you also learned something about what was happening with your packaging. So, in my research, because I'm very good at this, I did go through all your social media and I love your TikTok. I loved your TikTok where you addressed this whole situation of we started out with glass mason jars and we have moved from that, and here is why. And I'm going to let you explain that because although your video was amazing, I don't want people to click off this podcast and go watch the video. I want them to finish listening to you first. So tell us what that journey was like for you.
Yeah, so we were doing the glass mason jars for I think maybe almost a year. And one of the programs that I had initiated because I cared deeply about sustainability was that you could bring your mason jar back and I will sterilize it and reuse it. There were a bunch of issues with the mason jars. One of them was just the weight of shipping. So when I was shipping a lot all over the country, especially before I did the farmers markets. So you're also talking about when you have increased weight and you're shipping, especially by air freight, I have to do overnight because it's a frozen product. You're talking about increased fossil fuels. You're talking about increased packaging because the glass won't hold. It's a bigger thing. I had used more ice packs. So there's that piece. I also started doing a lot of research on how to recycle appropriately the glass and found that in most cases, glass is not being recycled. It has to be in its perfect state, perfectly cleaned, and go to the right collection facility. It's not like if you put a glass jar, even if you've cleaned it really well and you put it in your recycling, the odds are that it's not going to end up where you're hoping it's going to end up. And the amount of time it takes for glass to break down in these landfills is actually higher than plastics. So I started looking at, okay, well, I don't really want to go to plastic. I have concerns about microplastics and recycling and things like that. I did start with recyclable plastic pouches. But the other thing was that I noticed one that my jars, the bottoms started coming off. So I had all this wasted food, all this wasted product. And of course, that affects me as a business owner. That's tons of batter I can't sell. So it was costing me a lot of money, but that was not my primary driver. I actually try to keep my prices where I can invest in sustainability and sustainable practices. And yeah, my product is more expensive, but that's because I need to be able to cover the R&D, to be able to manage sustainability, to buy organic and fair trade ingredients, and to make sure that we're doing the right doing right on the side of packaging. So the jars started falling out, and that was from the freezing, and that we would heat treat it to sterilize the jars and then refreezing, and people were coming. And it turned out like after a few months of that, it was like 50%. It was tons and tons of broken glass, wasted product. And then on top of that, most of the jars I got back weren't clean. And even the ones that were clean, think about all the water it takes to clean a thick, sticky pancake batter out of the inside a jar. And it also went against our value proposition of no dishes because all of a sudden you're cleaning a jar. But that's aside from sustainability. But all of this waste and all of this water use and all of these fossil fuels, I was just like, no, this is not what I'm going for. So we switched to plastic pouches. I'm very proud to announce that I am working on ordering a bioplastic, which is a plant-based plastic. So our next iteration of pouches, which should launch in 3 to 4 months, will be all plant-based pouches. So it's coming from China, so the price is doubled there. That's really exciting. But yeah, that is, I'm still doing it. I took out a loan today and it's going to happen. I promise that to my customers. And it's just, I have to make sure that I do right by my company. Otherwise, what am I doing? It's not going to feel right. It's not going to feel good. So,
Well, I'm so glad I asked you that question because I know the video that I watched, I think it was about a year old, and you had said in the video, you're like, I'm not just checking a box for greenwashing to make people feel better. And you had actually lost out on an opportunity to be in a farmer's market because they were like, no, you're not sustainable packaging. But you're right. It's like no matter what we use, there's always a cost involved. And from what I've learned on this show, a few episodes back, we had an amazing gentleman named Simmer Bettis, who has Soul Recycling, which is based in Canada. And he really educated me on the lies about recycling. He goes, you have to understand most of the stuff you're throwing in recycling never gets to recycling because these waste management companies actually make more money off landfills than they do recycling. So they'll take it and they'll say we are recycling, but it never goes there. It goes into a landfill because they make more money that way. And that's the dirty secret of recycling. So for all these ideas of everything's a glass mason jar, you're right. It wasn't getting there anyway.
right,
And it
right.
was like, and even causing an even bigger problem because you're right. Because now we're washing stuff and now we're doing this and that. And I myself have, like with my farmer's market, I wash stuff. I feel so good about myself. I take it there. I have no idea if they're going to reuse it or whatever. And also that when the jars have a plastic top, they tell me, well, we can't take the plastic top. I'm like,
Right.
oh, so that's getting thrown into recycling anyway, aka recycling. So the point of my rant is this: there is a cost for every action, but as long as we're always trying to evolve and make it better, like you are doing now with the next iteration of your packaging, that is really all we can hope for. Because how do we enjoy delicious ready-made pancakes and not carrying the batter home in our hands? Like, right? Like, there's got to be
Exactly.
a vessel to get it. So, the process is something that is a learning curve. And thank you for figuring that out for us, because there's a lot to figure out with that whole supply chain situation.
Yeah, and it took me 2 years to find a vendor that could make a bio PE that could be frozen, that could take a pancake batter. I mean, it took 2 years. So I've been working really hard on this, and I'm appreciative that most of my customers understand where I'm coming from when I switched to plastics. I certainly lost a few when I switched, but at least I know in my heart I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, you are solving problems for sure. So, your company and everything I read about and even on your website, I kept reading about and hearing about these Hawaiian values and various Hawaiian names or words that were on your website that I don't understand because I'm from Philadelphia. Please take me through what all of this means, because you are not from Hawaii, but why is this Hawaiian values and Hawaiian lifestyle so important to you?
Yeah, I can tell you it kind of drives my parents a little nuts, but we my parents started taking me to the big island of Hawaii when I was 5 or 6 to this magical place. It's Monolani is the hotel. It's on a whole property. It's on fish ponds, like historic fish ponds, where the ancient Hawaiians would actually like walk barefoot to go there and do their fishing, and then they'd walk back to their villages. It has a lot of meaning. And the feeling that I personally get in Hawaii, just everything else aside, everything that I know now, there was always a feeling that drew me to it. It's a sense of calm. It's a sense of release of stress and love for everyone you come in contact with. When you say aloha, you're not just saying hello. It's more like the namaste. It's I see you. We share one breath. I love you. And that I think is what's needed more in the world. And I really leaned into it. I mean, my oldest son, his name is Kai, which is Hawaiian for ocean. And I have Hawaiian stuff all over my house. I'm not Hawaiian. However, after going to the Big Island many times a year for many years, as I was starting to come of age, like 12, 13, 14, and starting to kind of explore on my own, I was volunteering at a dive shop there. Volunteering. It meant I got to dive for free. And they're like, yeah, sure, you can come dive with us for free. But I felt like I was doing something. I was a dive master. But one of the owners of that company was, it's called Kanaka, and Kanaka Maoli, and it's a person who is of Hawaiian descent. And he taught me a lot of the values. And it started with anytime he'd have a party, he'd invite everyone around, come to the party, eat, drink. Let's talk story, is telling each other stories about how they came to be, stories of ancestors. And I really cared about the values. The Hawaiians will greet the sun, because the sun is life. Everything has meaning. The ocean has meaning. The way the volcanoes are, that all has meaning. And they really care about their land, or Malama Aina. Aina is the earth, but Malama is like taking care of. It's a stewardship. Being pono, I say that to my kids all the time now, is do the right thing. Being pono, like if we see a piece of litter on the ground, and they'll be like, Mom, there's litter. I'll be pono, go pick it up and put it in the trash. And I say aloha to my kids before they go to bed, because I want them to feel that love. So my parents think I'm crazy. They tell me I'm not Hawaiian. And I've checked in with my Hawaiian friends, and I'm like, look, I'm not trying to steal from your culture, but I really feel it in my heart. And they're like, don't worry, you're good. We can tell that it's all from a place of love. So I actually have a lot of friends who double check all of my packaging, and I had to do a lot of iterations. So our new packaging is going to have a Hawaiian value on the bottom of the pouch and its meaning, which is really exciting to me. So I had them double check that I was using everything properly, and I definitely had to make some adjustments. But it just, I feel like that helps me be a better person. And I also feel like if we could infuse more aloha on the mainland, maybe we could calm down a little bit. Maybe we could assume that the other person's not trying to, I'm trying not to drop an F-bomb, not trying to be an a-hole, and come at an approach of love, and that we share one breath on this earth. Then I think that we can move towards more peace. But it all starts in the home.
That is such a beautiful sentiment, and I really, it resonates with me too. I've never been to Hawaii, but many of my family members have, and they have that same sentiment where they're just like, "Oh my God, it's just such a different place over there. The way people talk to each other and interact." And you're right. I think we could use a lot more of that in our lives. And with that said, I think it's lovely that you've worked it into your entire ethos of your company. Like you didn't just slap a Hawaiian name on the label and said, oh, this is, Hawaiian inspired. Like this is truly a part of you and how you go about your life and creating your business. And I think that's beautiful. And I think that's, something that we should embrace no matter how we find that, because right now we're in this very sensitive time. Everybody's very much about cultural appropriation and things like that. But if you really resonate with something, I think you should be allowed to embrace it and also become a part of it. Like there's no just because you were there or not. And definitely Hawaii is on my bucket list to get to at some point. So I will let you know when I have that life-altering experience as well. So speaking then of life-altering experiences, this business is really snowballing. Like it is just rolling, rolling, rolling. You're already in Bristol Farms. How did that happen?
That's a great story. This was at the end of last year. The farmers market sales have just kind of been steady, stable, but not growing and not sustainable. And I haven't gotten into a bunch of grocery stores. And one of the customers that was there, I wasn't even there that day, but a customer went with her mom, to the Calabasas farmers market and wanted to try this pancake batter. It was actually a day we didn't even have samples. We usually have samples. She talked her mom into buying it, and they went home and they made it. And the woman called me and said, "Hi, I'm from Bristol Farms. I bought your stuff. How would you like to be in Bristol Farms?" So the mom was a buyer for Bristol Farms. And she said, "Oh, yeah. And my daughter says that your pancake batter is bus." I have no idea what that is, but I hear it's good. and I called her back and I emailed. I'm like, yes, 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 I want to be in Bristol Farms. And I couldn't believe, I was like jumping up and down, screaming, like, is this really happening finally? Like, this is going to save the company. I was even thinking about how to start scaling down. And I had a meeting with her, and then I had a meeting with the frozen buyer. And I remember sitting in the office with him and saying, look, I just, I don't want to get my hopes up too high. Like, what are the odds that you actually get me into your store? Like, how many hoops do I have to jump through? He's like, it's already a done deal. You're going to be in all 13 stores. We just have to sign all the paperwork. And I was like, oh, I was so excited. And I still am. My full-time job right now is basically doing demos at all the Bristol Farms in Southern California. So I thankfully have two awesome sales associates at the farmers markets, and I drop in when I can. But I am just trying to go around to all the Bristol Farms and get some excitement around it, and especially excited to get the new packaging up in there. So
That is such an incredible story. First of all, anyone listening, because we've said it before on this podcast, get your product to a farmer's market, because first of all, it's great consumer feedback. Secondly, you never truly know who is going to be there shopping at the time. Now, I am also in LA, and I love an LA story like this where it's just like, I just met this person and now this happened. But it's not just about, oh, I was in the right place at the right time. Like, you truly had a product that they were immediately like, yes. That shows the strength of what you created. You didn't have to go in there with a hard sell. They came to you and said, "Oh no, girl, you're already a yes." I mean, what was the feeling in that? Like, total validation, right?
well, I mean, after being turned down by Erewhon 3 times, yeah, it was like, okay, somebody sees me. I felt seen. I haven't been feeling seen. Like, I know that as a mom, as a working mom, this product needs to be on shelves where I shop. And it hadn't been. It had been in 1 or 2 grocery stores, and unless I'm there selling it myself, it wasn't moving. And so this was just like almost like, the curtain's been lifted up, like, hey, the work is paid off. You've been busting your ass for 3 years, and you're finally getting your opportunity. 3 years, in retrospect, doesn't feel like a long time. And for a business, it's not a long time to be pursuing something as an entrepreneur. But I can tell you the hard work, sweat, tears, the screaming, hitting pillow fits, and like, the amount of time I miss spending with my kids, especially in the pursuit of doing something for them. I mean, this is for them. I hope to get them a better life, and, a college fund, and to have them, a company they can be proud of, and they can say, look, my mom did it. I can create a business too if I want to. My oldest son, Kai, is very entrepreneurial. He's going to do amazing things. And so, yeah, it was a huge shift in energy for me in the business, for sure.
I can just imagine just the total elation, and then probably a little fear too, like, oh my God, I have to scale like really quickly. 13 stores, that's a lot of product. Like, how do I make that happen? But I'm sure you're figuring out all of that along the way. But you're right, being just the role model for your kids in general, like, mom started this business literally from her kitchen table at like 2 in the morning. And you can do this too, because our society is moving that way, especially with the way AI is just taking leaps and bounds. There aren't going to be a lot of jobs around which are mainly just like, I'm just going to say, very 9 to 5 employee base. We are moving to a society where you are going to have to be much more of a creative thinker outside the box, because chat programs are going to do basic stuff, and there aren't going to be opportunities to kind of just, I think, slide through. You're going to have to learn critical thinking yourself. You're going to have to learn what it means to have an idea and then bring it to fruition, whatever that's going to be. So to see their mom do it, it's just been probably an amazing journey for them. So
Yeah, I even asked them at the end of last year. I was like, mommy's trying to figure out if it's still worth it. Is it still worth it for me not to be here ever on the weekends? Is it still worth it for me to be working so hard? And I remember Kai, he's 9, and he's like, Mommy, you've worked so hard. You've got this.
Oh.
And he's like, this Zen Stax needs to exist. And so that was another thing that was like, okay, he believes in me. Like, what would it look like if I just quit also? So that came deep into thought as well.
Well, I imagine that was all prior to Bristol Farms because there is no quitting now. I mean, they are
No,
waiting for
no.
products. So, I mean, it's great to be in Bristol Farms and you were at the farmers markets, but what other marketing have you used to get the word out? So you're clearly active on social media. Have you seen you get a lot of traction that way where people are interested in trying or talking about the product?
I think most of the traction is really, really grassroots. I'm not a marketer. I'm good at talking about the product because I love it, but I'm not a salesperson. I try to dabble in Instagram and TikTok and just kind of say what's on my mind without a filter,
Mhm.
which is why I drop a lot of F-bombs. And but I haven't really invested in marketing. I tried that for a short stint a couple of years ago. It went nowhere. But really, I've noticed that treating my customers like Ohana, like family, and I've really cultivated relationships. And I can tell you that I love these people. They're the reason that I have a business and I enjoy going to the farmers markets and seeing them. I will go to the Bristol Farms that's by the Calabasas Farmers Market, and I will see 5 or 6 people from the farmers market, and we will give hugs, and they support me as well. Like, our sales at that market are 3 times what the other Bristol Farms are, and I wouldn't have a business if people didn't want to support me and support this business and support this endeavor. Yeah, it's a good product. It's also expensive. Like, people can choose how they want to do it and people choose to support me, and I'm so appreciative of that. And I try to go out of my way to show my ohana and my customers that I care about them outside of just seeing them in the farmers market.
Okay. Sari, I've said it at the beginning. I'm going to say it again. I'm already starving. I think our audience probably is too. Please tell them where they can find you online because I know they want to go order if there's not a Bristol Farms right around them. So, where can we find you online?
Yes, you can find us at www.zen, Zen dash, there's a little hyphen dash there, Stax, Stax.com.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. I loved hearing about your journey.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. It was an honor. It was really fun chatting with you.
Thanks for listening to the Wild Party Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or professional who would like to be on this podcast, please visit boomtownmarketing.com and click on podcast. We believe that every business has the potential to change the world for good, and we want to support our community to help make the world more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable for all future generations to come. And if you're looking to build your business, no matter what level you're at now, request your free marketing consultation at boomtownmarketing.com and click Get Started.